I thought I had found love with a man who seemed larger than life. He stood for justice, he spoke about equality, and people looked at him like he was some kind of hero. But what no one saw was how he used those same words to cut me down. Every cause became a weapon, every argument was twisted into my fault. He gaslighted me until I doubted my own memory, humiliated me in front of strangers, and even tried to cancel me just to prove he was right. For a long time, I believed his cruelty was just education. I believed his love was real, until I learned I wasn't the first. He had done it before, and he would do it again. From shaming me at dinners to screaming at my mom on Thanksgiving, he hid abuse behind activism. I thought silence would protect me, but I discovered silence was my only revenge. That's the story I'm about to tell you, and it begins right here. She told me I was fragile, that every time I cried, every time I disagreed, every time I asked her to stop yelling, she said I was fragile and needed to get a grip. That was my life for 2 years with my ex-boyfriend, male, 32 years old, me, female, 28 years old. And I stayed because I thought respecting his activism meant I had to respect the way he treated me. Spoiler alert, it destroyed me. He didn't cheat. He built a double life, not with another woman, but with the movement he loved more than me. I'll tell you right now, the story ends with me walking away, but the road there, messy, humiliating, and honestly terrifying. He said he was woke. I thought he was passionate. Instead, I learned that sometimes the most self-righteous people are the cruelest behind closed doors. The first time it hit me was at a birthday dinner. I made a joke about a sitcom I liked, just a dumb Friends reference while I was cutting into a slice of tiramisu. He dropped his fork, glared at me, and launched into a 10-minute lecture on how the show was homophobic, transphobic, classist. Everyone at the table froze. My best friend whispered, "It's just a TV show, dude." He wouldn't stop. He told me my taste in media proved I was part of the problem. I remember the tiramisu melting into a puddle while I sat there, cheeks on fire, wondering, should I have just stayed silent? Would staying silent have been more mature? That was the pattern. If I asked a question, I was ignorant. If I disagreed, I was privileged. If I cried, I was weaponizing fragility. And when I pushed back, when I dared to say, "You're hurting me," he'd smirk and say, "Funny how you only care about your feelings when people are dying in the streets." That night, after everyone left, he called me into the kitchen. "You embarrassed me in front of my friends. Do you realize how much privilege it takes to laugh at friends when that show erased real struggles?" I remember staring at the pile of dirty plates, greasy with sauce and cake crumbs, and feeling smaller than the forks stacked in the sink. His friends adored him. Online, people worshipped him. He had a TikTok following, posting daily rants about justice and equality. But in private, he weaponized every cause. He'd say, "Your discomfort doesn't matter. Change is uncomfortable." At first, I believed him. I wanted to be on the right side of history. But then he started using that same excuse to justify insulting me. One night, after I begged him to stop screaming at me for interrupting him, I asked, "Do you think gaslighting ruins relationships permanently?" He laughed. "Gaslighting? Please, I'm educating you. You're welcome." That was the moment I realized he honestly believed cruelty was education. And if I walked away, he'd tell everyone I was just too fragile to handle the truth. I once tried to journal about it, writing down every insult, every humiliation. When he found the notebook, he waved it in my face. "So now you're documenting me? That's not healthy. That's paranoia." I snatched it back, but the pages felt like evidence in a trial I'd never win. The twist came when his best friend, male 31 years old, pulled me aside at a barbecue. He said, "Look, I've known him since college. He hasn't changed. He destroyed his last girlfriend too. She left therapy thinking she was crazy." That woman actually reached out to me later. Her voice shook on the phone as she said, "He told me every fight was proof of my privilege. He told me disagreeing made me violent. I almost believed him." Do you think betrayal always ends love? Her story was my story, just 2 years earlier. Same playbook, same tactics. I realized I wasn't special. I wasn't even loved. I was just his next project. And knowing he had done this before, that broke me more than anything he said. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling fan. Its blades spun slow and lazy, slicing the air. I kept hearing her voice. I almost believed him. The truth hit me, so had I. Things escalated when he tried to cancel me. Yes, his own girlfriend. We were at a protest, and I mispronounced a speaker's name when introducing them to a colleague. He grabbed the megaphone, announced that I had disrespected a marginalized voice, and told me to apologize to the community. I froze. My cheeks burned. Everyone was staring. He whispered, "If you don't do it, I'll post about it tonight." That night, I sat in my room, staring at the walls, shaking. I asked myself, would you cut off a toxic sibling? Then why not a toxic partner? But I was scared that if I left, he'd smear me online, scared my friends would choose him. I Googled my own name that night, terrified I'd already been dragged. All I found was silence, for now. The breaking point came at Thanksgiving. My mom made a joke about not understanding pronouns. He slammed his fist on the table, screamed that my family was dangerous, and stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture frame shattered. My dad muttered, "He's the biggest bully I've ever seen." And suddenly, I heard it clearly, bully. I had been telling myself he was an activist, an intellectual, a teacher, but bullies come in many costumes. Later that night, I looked at my mom and whispered, "Do you think bullying scars last forever?" She said, "Yes, and if you stay, you'll carry his scars, not yours." That was it. I packed my bag. But leaving wasn't cinematic. It wasn't defiant. It was me shoving sweaters into a trash bag at midnight, my sister waiting outside in her car, headlights off. He didn't beg. He didn't even cry. He just sneered and said, "You're running away because you can't handle accountability. You'll regret this." I moved into my sister's apartment. For weeks, I flinched every time my phone buzzed, terrified he'd post about me, exposed me, turned my friends against me. Some did side with him. Others told me privately, "We always knew. We just didn't know how to tell you." I remember asking myself at night, do you think revenge brings satisfaction or emptiness? Because part of me wanted to destroy his shiny online image, but another part just wanted peace. So I chose silence, and maybe that was the most powerful revenge of all. Months later, I saw him again, ironically, at another protest. He was standing on a car, megaphone in hand, screaming at a crowd, but no one was listening. People were walking past, annoyed. His voice cracked, his hands trembled, and for the first time, I saw not a leader, but a lonely, angry man, desperate for control. I realized then, he never loved me. He only loved the power of being right. And me, I loved the version of him that never existed. And that's when I realized he never loved me.